Hi, this is Danielle, you guys know that, and this is Fauna Moore with Experienced Anatomy. There's been a lot of questions behind the scenes about why does my left arm go numb or my right arm go numb with when I have breast implants, or why do my hands go cold? You know, why does it hurt? Why do my breasts hurt? Why do my shoulder blades hurt? So many of these questions that I figured with Fauna's experience, anatomy experience, and with these wonderful plastinets, she can maybe give us a little bit of an education on that. So Fauna, if you would, first, can you tell us just a little bit about Experienced Anatomy here in Charlotte and what they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a private bioskills lab and education company. So we host different events and then also use a multimodal way of teaching anatomy. So one of the ways that we're really lucky that we get to share anatomy with folks is with these beautiful plastinets. So if you've ever seen the Body World exhibits, these are actually made by the same makers from that company. And they use real human tissue through this very specialized process of preservation to actually see real human anatomy rather than just a model or, you know, things that are kind of an amalgam or an average of like what humans generally look like. So it gives us just a much more accurate, lifelike understanding of how we're really put together and the relationships of structures to each other.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
the plastinet that we have here is a breast, and it's from our like lymphatic and endocrine system kit. So you can see the subcutaneous breast tissue or fatty tissue with the gland. Let me bring it in close. Within that, one thing that I think we have to acknowledge when we're looking at this plastinet is that the breast doesn't live as just like a boob on a muscle, but it lives in the whole layer of subcutaneous fat, which covers our entire body as a continuity. Danielle's going to show a picture of it out of Netter's Atlas of Anatomy, so you can see that whole layer here. So this breast would be part of that that layer.
You can see it. I know, guys, this is just kind of ad lib here, right? But we'll post more specific stuff also at the summit. Yes.
So one of the really interesting things, and I think Danielle was excited to see, so we have our plastinet here. So this is the lateral side, so this is serratus anterior, which would be kind of on the ribs of the body. The breast tissue is right on top of pec major, so that's what we're seeing kind of poke out around the sides. And then if we rotate it to look kind of from above, we can see the relationship here of pec major and then a pec minor underneath, and then a little bit of serratus around the sides, as well as being able to appreciate just kind of, here are the edges of serratus on top, and then the thinness of these three layers of intercostal muscles, which these are the ribs, and so intercostal are the muscles between the ribs.
Yeah, and if so much to say, can I just show this?
Absolutely.
Now, what's interesting about this is the top view from the collarbone down, but look, there is like a somewhat of a natural space in between the pec major and the pec minor. From the bottom, which you can't see in this plastinet, this is where the plastic surgeons typically will go in to go under the muscle, and they'll come up through this whole fat layer, fascia layer, up through the breast, lift the breast and place it on top of pec minor, and they'll cut your pec major to be able to get the implant in, and then this gets all pushed forward, right? And there was another point I didn't want to forget, but if we look at, I think the other one might show it better. So I'm gonna turn this around. Oh, you can see little hairs.
Yeah,
Like this is amazing.
Yeah.
So this is where your lungs sit, right? And even your pericardium, your heart, right? So this intercostal space here is so important for us to know about, because look where that's gonna sit. I'm gonna take away the serratuses for a minute just so we get an idea. This is serratus, right? Good Lord.
Correct.
Look how thin where's the camera? There we go. Look how thin that intercostal space is. Oh, it's over here.
So your friend.
That's the intercostal space, and that's your rib. They're not very thick, right? So when we're asking the physician to scrape the capsule off, the back wall where the pec minor is, this is the thickness that if they go too deep, you can actually puncture the lung because the lung is sitting right there, right? So that's something to keep in mind, and that's why you want to go to an experienced plastic surgeon who does the explants, right? So much more to say, but those are big things that people always have questions for. But those, I didn't realize those were the glands.
Yeah.
And also
The fatty tissue looks so much like glandular tissue, or maybe we should say glandular tissue looks so much like fatty tissue that it can be really hard to see that distinction. But they've dissected it out there a bit. And also I think the important thing besides just the fat layer being dissected away is also the connective layer of fascia and other connective tissue that surrounds and is in between these muscles has also been removed to make these structures just easier and clearer to see.
And so when they have to go up through here and they lift all that, this is an area in which we can get scar tissue that makes it so it adheres and gets stuck. And whether it's on this side, which that's where I think I was stuck, but on the other breast, or this, you can really inhibit your rib cage from moving, which can inhibit your breath, right? So much. So this over here, I just want to learn, like, it's all like kind of a little reversed.
Yeah.
So that is the back side. And what is this? You said this was the mammary
vein and artery.
And look at that's part of just the vasculature for the breast itself. And what we don't see here is that, we do see here. Oh, you see arterial right underneath I don't know which one that is, but right underneath the rib. Also what runs right underneath the rib with an artery is a vein and also a nerve. And this nerve really can drive sympathetic reaction, like tension and fight, flight, freeze. And so when that's contracted, then that intercostal space gets contracted and then breath can be harder, right? So when the breast implant is removed and there's release and no scar tissue, you have more expansion and fluidity, or at least I did, right? So I shouldn't say that's for everybody, but any other cool thoughts? These can get really sore.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the nature of scar tissue is like the body's glue, right? Like it's just gonna add it. It a lot of times layers that are formerly slidey and glidey become really tacked down to each other, and so the space underneath pec major is typically a slidey gliding space. As there are places where it's adherent to the bone and it should be anchored and that's appropriate and good, but the entirety of that surface is not anchored. But if scar tissue or a foreign body gets introduced, there can be, of course, less slide and glide in these spaces.
Yeah, and for some of us, we end up with seromas, hematomas, and excess fluid, like those people who have what they call BIALCL, which is a lymphoma, and they get seroma, and the implant around the implant and the capsule, which is the scar tissue. Ooh, we're gonna stop this video and make another one with this plasma in the back, right? I think you guys want to see that too. Thanks.